Welcome to the Self Podcast. It's your host, Discovery Day here, and we're back with another episode. So on today's episode, we're going to talk about self-realization and self-actualization. Now, before we get started, before we hop into the full conversation, make sure you guys leave a like down below, subscribe if you want to see more content like this. But yeah, for today's topics, we're going to talk about self-realization, self-actualization. I'm gonna start off with the more simpler term. I think more self-explanatory term is self-realization. Self-realization is just as it said, it's just realizing things about yourself. I'm sure we all recognize behaviors we had when we were little kids. I'm sure we all recognize behaviors that we have as adults. How our personality has evolved over those times. How maybe even our friends' personalities and family members' personalities have evolved, over the time that we have all grown up. And obviously, self-realization is important, right? I think the best way for someone to self-improve, the best way for someone to even know who they are as a person is just by realizing things about themselves, right? Like, I realized that I definitely had an ego, right? That's something I realized when I was in high school, something that definitely developed when I was in middle school. And, as an adult, I've worked pretty hard to kind of, squish that or like hide that side of myself, right? When I was younger, I was like a really happy, optimistic, high energy child. And then, over time life happened and, that kind of diminished my personality a little bit, which then kind of brought out my ego. But now as an adult, I'm trying to, blend the two, right? Like I'm trying to blend my old, optimistic, happy young self, but I'm also trying to understand and embrace my ego, not only just so I can, be egotistical or so I can be, super confident, but I also want to embrace my ego because like when it comes to content creation stuff, like I get a little shy often, right? And, that was something that I, realized when I was younger where I was like, in uncomfortable situations, I get shy, I get nervous, I get quiet. Apologies by the highway again, so the noise probably get picked up again. But, like it was just, it definitely was a hard time, when I first grew up. It was definitely an experience I had to overcome. And now as an adult, I'm realizing like, oh man, like I actually kind of need my ego, right? I can't fully, suppress it, right? It's honestly a true part of me. And funny enough, I watched Inside Out 2 and it kind of helped me get to that realization, right? If you have not seen Inside Out 2, it came out of me recording this, it came out like 2 weeks ago. By the time you guys see the video, it's probably been a month or two since the movie has released. But basically the movie kind of gets to this point of like, we have to embrace the good and bad, right? The good and bad memories, the good and bad aspects of life, right? The good and bad outcomes of the situation, right? Anxiety, whole thing is that she is trying to prep Riley, the main character, for all the things that could happen for her decisions, or all the things that she's doing at this like hockey camp thing that she's doing for the weekend, right? And Joy is just trying to tell Anxiety like, hey, no, like just let Riley enjoy, let her do her thing. And it's like, but Anxiety is like, yeah, but what if this happens? What if this happens? And Joy kind of realizes like, oh damn, like, maybe I'm not doing my best job by, letting her be super happy or let her just, live in a moment. Like maybe I should help her prepare for all these moments. And then throughout the movie, she starts to realize, okay, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I should take a backseat. Maybe Anxiety's right. And then ultimately by the end of the movie, she actually comes to the conclusion of like, oh no, like, okay, yes, we definitely should have some anxiety to a level where we like understand that like, hey, like things might not go the way we expect. But on the other side of that, there could be joy, there could be embarrassment, there could be this, it could be that, but all those things are okay, right? We have to embrace all of these different parts of ourselves. And I think like that was honestly like a really cool and dope meaning and a cool and dope theme for the movie. And then it like made me like self-reflect or self-realize like, oh shoot, like all the things that I've been trying to suppress about myself, all the things I'm trying to change about myself, I shouldn't just change them and forget about them and throw them into the back of my mind. It's like, no, like I should incorporate them with my new self, right? I should find new ways to make those things better, right? Use them at the times where it's reasonable and makes sense, right? So like I said with my ego, like, yeah, like when I'm at work, I don't need to have an ego. I'm here to take care of kids. It's not about me. It's about the well-beings of the children that's in my in my group or whatever, right? But in those moments, don't need my ego. But when people want to talk to me about my content, talk to me about my podcast, talk to me about the things I want to accomplish, talk about the things that I've created on my own, in private, it's like, okay, that's when I can bring my ego out and be like, oh yeah, I created this really dope thing. I think it's gonna be really cool. Oh, I have this like wondrous idea about trying to do this and this, or I have a podcast idea that's gonna be like this and this and this. Like, that's when my ego should come out. That's when that side of me should, I should showcase it. And sorry, waiting for sound. But yeah, like once I get more comfortable doing that, I feel like my life will continue to improve. But the reason why I want to start this episode about being self-realization and self-actualization is self-actualization is, like putting action, or at least I believe it's putting action to the things that you realize, right? Like, we all realize things by ourselves, but do we always act on those things that we realize by ourselves, right? Like I said, I had an ego when I was in high school, and I was pretty aware of that early on in high school. And over time, I was like, yeah, like I got an ego, but it doesn't matter. But over time, I kept working on it, and I grew to a certain age. I got to a certain level of maturity, and I was like, okay, I don't need to be this cool guy that thinks he's all this and that. It's like, nah, I could kind of just be myself, and ultimately, that made my life easier. That made life better for myself. It made me feel more confident. And then I realized that, oh, okay, like I'm a better person being like this. But now, because of the movie, I'm like, okay, like, yes, yes, I should suppress my ego in certain moments, but also like I have to embrace it, right? And for me to actualize, the things that I realize by myself is by doing it, right? So when I'm in those moments where I'm like, should I show my ego, should I not? Like, okay, if it's a moment where I should show my ego, show it, right? And like, don't be scared of it, right? Even if the people maybe take it as like, oh, like, where's this energy coming from? I can explain to them, oh yeah, like, yo, I really believe in myself when it comes to this. Oh, yo, I'm really confident in this idea. Oh, yo, I really enjoy doing this podcast. I know it could, have really great effect to other people. Then people are gonna understand, like, oh, okay, he doesn't have ego, he's not an asshole, he's not this. It's like, oh no, like, he's just somebody that believes in the things that he's doing. Instead of the way that I am right now, it's like, oh, I get shy, and I'm just like, oh yeah, thank you, or like, oh yeah, I do this thing, but it's not that important. And now people are like kind of not interested as, in my own thing, right? And it's not even because of what I'm doing. It's because of it is because of what I'm doing. It's more about what I'm saying rather than what I'm doing, Like, people are excited that I'm doing a podcast, but they don't see that I'm excited about my own podcast. So it's like, how could they be excited, right? And that's on me. And that's a part of me having to making a realization and be like, oh, okay, I have to change that by myself. But also, on the other side of that, I have to actualize those things, right? I have to actually do the things that I'm saying, right? And I think that's the most important thing when it comes to me with this podcast and all these lessons, all these things I'm bringing up, right? Like, I'm not asking these questions. I'm not coming up with these topics. I'm not shooting these videos with the idea of like, hey, I'm gonna shoot this stuff, say a bunch of random stuff, put it on the internet, and people follow, they follow it. I don't care. It's like, no, like, I'm saying these things. I'm making these videos. I'm making these topics for myself, right? Like, I call it the self podcast because it's for myself. Obviously, I want to help you guys as well, but it's also things that I want to improve on. And I feel like the best way to keep myself accountable is by actually recording myself doing it, right? It's actually seeing myself talk about it, it's put it out there in the world. Because then it's like, okay, yes, I can hold myself accountable. Yes, I can be, attentive, or like just paying attention to the things that I'm doing every day. But also it's like, okay, now I know my friend Josh, she gonna see one of these episodes and be like, yo, you don't be doing this. And it's like, well, now I do, because I'm putting it out there in the world. And I know you're now gonna judge me when you see me, right? I'm sure people that I know personally that watch this, my mom, I know you're probably watching one of these episodes, and you're probably gonna be like, "Oh, where's all this coming from?" But it's like, "Oh, this is your son maturing in real time, right?" And like, I'm realizing that I gotta change, I gotta be better, and I think, I don't know, I just think, man, that's why I love doing this podcast, because it's like, it's just cool to kind of have these moments happen in real time and be able to record it and be able to look back on it and be able to reflect on it and be able to actualize the things I reflect on. It's like, it's just such a dope thing. And later we're going to watch a TED Talk. I'm going to show you guys a TED Talk that kind of better explains what I'm coming from, right? Because I got the idea from the TED Talk. Let's talk about self-realization and self-actualization. But before I get there, I just wanted to share kind of my thoughts and my understanding of these words and what these things mean to me. So what does self-actualization actually mean, right? Not just my definition of it, right? Not just my interpretation of it. What is the actual definition of the word? Self-actualization can vary greatly from person to person, as it involves the pursuit of personal growth and fulfillment in line with one's unique values and aspirations. I think I literally kind of explained that, but like that's the truth, right? Like self-actualization is not just, oh, I want to have a good career. Oh, I want to do this. It's like, yo, what makes you feel fulfilled, right? What's some things that you have aspirations to accomplish, right? What are the things that motivate you, right? What are the things that you feel like personally you want to grow in, right? And that's why I kind of brought out like me and my ego, right? Because like that's the one thing where I shunned away when I graduated high school, but now I have to realize that, oh, like that's a part of me and that's a real me, and that's the thing that I have to learn from. That's the thing that I have to grow and get better at, right? There's plenty of other things that I definitely struggle with that I have to work on, right? I think I mentioned a few different things of like being my confidence. Like, yeah, I'm confident in most things, but in certain things I don't feel confidence in. Like in academic situations, I don't always feel totally confident in those moments until I accomplish something, and then that's when I get my confidence back, right? Or when it comes to me talking, right? Like before I started doing podcasting, truthfully didn't really feel that confident about my speech, didn't feel that confident about my own vocabulary. And over time, with me doing podcasting, with me reading more, with me just, talking more to people, just me growing as a person, I've seen myself improving all of these things. And I'm like, oh, okay, like if I can grow in this, I can grow in this, I can grow in that. So I'm like, every day I'm kind of like choosing to be better at all of these things that I'm doing. And like I said, like over time, I'm seeing the development. I'm seeing the growth in myself, and it's making me feel fulfilled. Like you guys can literally see the smile on my face. Like as I'm like talking about these things, as I'm going over these things, I feel so much better, right? Like funny enough, like talking about personal growth, talking about fulfillment, right? I've recorded this same exact episode a couple of days ago, right? And I'm sure the episode might sound better. Actually, it was pretty windy that day, so it probably doesn't sound better. But like on that day when I recorded that video, I felt fulfilled after I was done. And I got home and I was like, I feel like there's some things that's missing. I feel like I didn't really, think out all my thoughts. But at the end of the video, I feel like I got to like a good place with my thoughts, but I didn't feel like I, fully got there. But I was like, you know what? I realized I don't fully feel confident in this episode. I don't feel confident enough to even start editing this episode. So you know what? I'm going to go back the next day. I'm going to get up earlier. I'm going to go record this episode. Now that I have my thoughts already kind of out from the first time I recorded it, now it'll be a little bit easier for me to get into it and be more comfortable with talking about this subject. And then I can improve the content, right? And I can get better. And then I can actualize the things that I want to do, right? Again, I want to have a really good podcast. I want to have really good episodes for you guys. But the only way I could do that is not only preparation, it's not only me reading stuff, beforehand. It's not only me like recording the content. It's like recording content and realizing this is not my best work. I didn't get my best effort, right? This is like, I didn't fully think out all the thoughts that I wanted to think out. And so I have to come back. I got to record it again to be better. And I think that's, again, like, it's just another lesson in self-improvement. It's another lesson in like growing as a self. It's another lesson in self-realization and self-actualization. It's like, oh, I realized I could have been better in this episode. I realized this episode could have been better. So let me actually make sure it's better by actually going out and doing it again. And that's what I'm here today. That's what I'm here doing today. And it's just, I don't know, man. Like, I think my next question for you guys is, why is self-actualization so important? And it's like, because like you actually see the repercussions of your work, right? You see the effects of what you're doing, right? I think a lot of us struggle with truly being ourselves or finding ourselves and knowing what we're doing. Sorry if you see my legs moving underneath the table. It is a bunch of mosquitoes out here today. But I think a lot of us realize things about ourselves, but we don't do anything to showcase that, right? Why is self-actualization so important to me? Self-actualization is so important to me because it's really about putting actions behind the thing that you want to grow in, right? It's putting actions behind the things that motivate you. It's putting action behind things that are to value to you, right? I think a lot of us struggle with with being the better version of ourselves, right? I think a lot of us struggle with just being ourselves in general. And I think the reason why is because we realize things about ourselves, but then we get embarrassed by it, or we feel sad about it, or we're angry about the things that we know about ourselves, right? Again, no one is the perfect person. No one is 100% or every second of the day or every moment of every situation is perfect, right? No one can get to a situation and not be awkward. No one can be friendly with every person on earth. No one could never upset anybody ever. No one could never get into a fight. No one could ever be a bad person. No one, like, we all have imperfections about ourselves, right? But I think that's what makes us all special. That's what makes us all unique in a way, right? And I think as long as we start to embrace that, we can improve as people, right? We can fully understand not only ourselves, but other people. And I think it starts with self-realization, right? You realize things about yourself and you understand it, but then you actualize the things that you want to continue or like keep having in your life, right? Like I always believed I was a really kind and good person to everybody, right? I've always been really, really friendly with people, right? It's pretty easy for me to make friends with people. And once I realized that, he was like, oh, okay, that means if I go to a new job or if I go to a new space, it's not going to take long for people to be cool with me because I've always been friendly with people. So I was like, okay, I don't have to worry about that. But then my thing then became like, okay, do I get deeply connected with these people or do I just keep it cool? And then I realized it's kind of hard for me not to get connected with people. So I'm like, okay, I have to embrace that side of myself. But then, like I said, it was like, okay, well, I know I used to have an ego and I suppressed that so much. But then I realized like, okay, if I suppress my ego so much, am I really letting people get to know the real me, right? Like if I'm hiding this ego that I have, if I'm suppressing the other side of myself, then I'm only showing people one side of me, and that's not good either. So I was like, sometimes you have to actualize the things that you want to change or things that you want to do in your life, right? I think like being you is like one phrase that I want to keep sharing to people, right? Keep telling people to embrace, like, yo, just be you, like literally be yourself. Like if people don't fuck with you because they don't like the way you are, cool. If people fuck with you because they like the way you are, even better, right? Like I think that's the best way to do it. Now, obviously, if you're an asshole, don't continue to just be an asshole and just, only make friends with other assholes. It's like, no, you can have asshole friends. Like I have Josh, he could be an asshole sometimes. He's my asshole friend and he would definitely consider me his asshole friend, right? But also we know we're also good people to other people that we know, either strangers or like people we know personally, right? And that's like one common thread that like connects us as friends, right? Like, yeah, we're like, if you ever see us alone together, we're super duper duper assholes to each other. But anybody else in the room, nah, it's all love, it's all friends, it's all family, right? And I think that's like special, right? That's unique about both of us. And we understand, like, yeah, I can call him an asshole, he can call me a dickhead, and he's like, it's cool, it's regular. But then when we're around other people, it's like, yo, we're caring about other people, right? If we see somebody go through something, we're gonna try to help, right? Josh always makes fun of me because like we'll see someone homeless or like a crazy person just walking down the street, and I'm always like, I'll always give them attention. I'll always listen to them just to make sure that I can help a little bit, right? Even if I can't help, I still help, right? and and then Josh will always be like, yo, like they're crazy, bro. Like, why do you keep making eye contact with them? I'm like, I can't. I literally can't help it. But then the same tip with Josh, like if you see someone crying or if you know someone's going through a tough mental time, right? He can't leave it alone. Like he has to help them. He has to say something. He has to at least make them feel happy in the moment. He'll make a joke. He'll do whatever just to make that person feel better. And it's like, hey, like we're just two different sides of the same coin, right? But I think all of that, like, I think what makes our friendship so great is that like, we both embrace both sides of ourselves. We embrace the asshole side of ourselves and we embrace like the kind side of ourselves. And I think that's what's important, right? Is like just embracing who you are. Now, to go back to the assholes, right? Don't continue just being an asshole, right? I'm sure there's a good, kind, nice version of yourself, right? I'm sure with either your family or your girlfriend or people you have an interest in, or even the friends, like I said with me and Josh, like we can be assholes to each other, but we still care for each other. I still make sure he's good, he makes sure I'm good, right? Be that person, right? Be that kind, be that more positive version of yourself, and like build on that person, right? Let's see how he grows as a person, right? Let's see what that develops into. And then maybe don't suppress your asshole side of yourself, but understand when is a good time to be an asshole, when's a bad time to be an asshole, right? I think there's certain people you can be an asshole to and they understand like, okay, you're just joking around. And there's other people who you can be asshole to and they won't understand it, and then they're gonna think like you're just a total asshole, they're not gonna like you. So it's like I think life is literally all about balance. As long as you find the balance between the good and the bad of you, I think that's really you showing your true self. And I think that's what's important about life, right? It's being your true self and having balance. And I think again, like that's gonna help you feel fulfilled. That's gonna make you feel like you grow in person. So I'm gonna show you guys a TED talk of someone talking about what I am and being who I am, right? Right. There's very two different sides of ourselves, right? Like there's a person that you are, which is usually based off your experiences or based off your life, and there's a person you're trying to be or the person you're being on the day to day, right? And I think the being, in my interpretation of what she was saying, is the thing that you decide to do throughout the day, the things you decide to do throughout your life, right? So like we talked about self-realization. The person that the what you are is based off the realizations that you have, right? So maybe it's past experiences, maybe it's past traumas, maybe it's past, just experiences in general, right? And then the person you're being is a person that has realized those things about themselves and is now actualizing those things, right? It's now being a better person, right? It's being a better version of that person that used to be, all right? And I think I know she goes in and like further explains it, but I think that is the topic of today's, right? Like what you are and being what you are, right? It's a little bit harder like saying it to you guys, but if I was saying it to myself, it's like, okay, what am I and who am I going to be, right? Or who am I being on the day to day? So let's hop into the video. I'm gonna let you guys watch it. It's like a 4 to 5 minute clip, and then we'll go back and I'll ask you guys the next couple questions for the pod.
It was a hot summer afternoon in a non-air conditioned train coach. I was 3 years old and very talkative and absolutely enjoying the attention I was getting from everyone around me. And the old man sitting opposite us asked me, "What's your name, little one?" And I said, "Lena." And he said, "Oh, wow, what a lovely name. What does it mean?" And I looked at my parents and they didn't seem to have an answer either. Oh, I can still feel the awkwardness and the confusion that question created in me at that age. When I came to know that the theme of this event is Elaine, the ray of light, I couldn't help think about the connection it has with my name, Lena. Most people I meet, almost all of them, ask me the meaning of my name since that day. And for the longest time, it was a source of embarrassment and confusion for me. And then I came into films and I struggled even more with this uncommon name, uncommon in India, that is. And then at the age of 25, my dear friend, I call her Anita Auntie, gifted me a keychain with my name and the meaning of my name embedded on it. And lo and behold, I realized that Lena means light. What a relief it was for the next time an interviewer asked me the meaning of my name. Now you all must be wondering if my name, Lena, meaning light, is significant enough to be part of a TEDx talk on the theme, Elaine, the ray of light. The point in the story I want you to remember is the awkwardness and the confusion one feels at not knowing something so personal as one's own name's meaning. Have you ever said, "my body"? My body? We all say it so many times a day. Have you said, "my mind"? So who is saying, "my body, my mind"? Who is claiming ownership of this body and mind? Answers? Me? More answers? I, me, myself. I am saying my body, my mind. So naturally, the next question is, what am I? What is I? What is the meaning of the word I? Why do all of us call ourselves I? Do you have an answer? Now, are you feeling a little uneasy, anxious, confused, like little Lena did when she didn't know the meaning to her name? And knowing the answer to this question, what am I, is so far more important than knowing the meaning to one's name, right? Would you like me to give you the answer to the question? The answer is so simple, it's going to seem ridiculous. And that's exactly why it stays in our blind spot. The answer is life, L-I-F-E. Omnipotent, omniscient, omnipresent, eternal, and infinite life is what you are. One life, many bodies. One life, every one of us calls ourselves exactly that same I. If we all just together said I in one voice, it would still be that same one life. Do you want to try that out? At the count of 3, shall we all say I together? 1, 2, 3. I! Everyone, just say I loud enough. Let's get that energy inside our bodies bubbling, because we're going to go to the next question. Shall we say I once more? Can everyone say I? 1, 2, 3. I. See? We can say it in unison and it really means exactly the same thing. We are all one life in many forms. So the question, we've got the answer to the question, what am I? I am life. Easy and simple, don't take my word for it. Please do your own deductions after this. And this immediately leads us to the question, then who am I? And now that we have the answer to what am I, and we are all self-realized, like you all believed we can be, we are self-realized. So what is who am I is the next question. And the question who am I is a question of self-actualization. Self-realization and self-actualization are two aspects. Self-realization can happen in an instant, like someone can just tell you something and it can just click and the light turns on and we have realized. That's all it takes. But self-actualization does not happen in the mind as self-realization does. It happens in the body. Self-realization is knowing in your mind what I am. Self-actualization is being in your body who you specifically are, uniquely are. So what determines who you are? It is remembering that you are life itself, the one life that is in all bodies and minds, owns all bodies and minds, yet is a very specific expression here to have very specific experiences through that form. Keeping this in mind, every choice, every decision you make in life is going to determine who you show up as in the world. And that how you show up in the world is what determines who you are. And I think this is such great news to know what we are and then be able to decide who to be. It is empowering at the deepest core level. This realization for me really changed the way I created myself in every role I played, in real life and in real life. From the kind of student I am, to the kind of friend I am, to the woman I am, how I show up in the world, how I carry myself off, is we make choices and decisions every single moment of our life. And that is what life is, living is. So the only reason why I shared this with you is that I have spent almost all of this lifetime looking for the simplest answers to these basic questions of what am I and who am I. Most of us don't even think about this because it's like, okay, this is not important. But for me, this has been a preoccupation, and I think it has taken up all these years of my life in the mind instead of actualizing through the body as much. So the only reason I share this with you is out of the love for all of you, that you don't have to reinvent the wheel. If you spend some time and you find that this clicks in you, you can then use this information to start actualizing yourself, knowing that you are all powerful, all resourceful life itself in a form with a given name. You just start making those choices that unleash your unlimited potential and live that life of fulfillment that you came here on earth to live. May you be Elaine, the ray of light that illuminates the path for all of life. Thank you.
So now that we're back, I'm gonna explain what am I, right? Like she said, like what am I is more I am life, right? It's the things that she experiences. Like I said, like you could also like count your traumas into that, into this situation. But who am I or what am I is, I think I'm my life, I am my trauma, I'm my experiences, right? I am my good, I am my bad, I am an asshole, I am a kind person, I'm multiple different things, right? Like it's honestly, it's low key difficult, like talking about this, cause it's like, damn, like who am I? Like, and that's the thing, like big part of the reason why I'm doing this podcast is because like, I'm truthfully trying to discover who I am, right? I had the name Discovery Day because I'm discovering Daquan, right? I'm discovering myself. I'm discovering the person who I used to be. I'm discovering the person I want to be going forward, right? And the person I want to be forward, or the person I'm being, right? Who am I being? I think I am a mentor, right? I am an athlete. I am a asshole. I'm a kind person. I am a child of divorce. I am a child of remarriage, right? I am a person that suffers from dyslexia. I am a person that likes to read. I am a writer. I am a director. I am a podcaster. I'm a talk show host. I'm so many different things, right? Like, and I think that's the things that I'm trying to be, right? All the things I just said just now is like the things that I want to accomplish, the things that I'm trying to be, right? I am being a better person every single day, right? And like my next question is also going to be, like, so like, who are you? Like, what are your life experiences? And you guys can comment down below. If you don't want to, you can also DM me personally. But also, like, who are you trying to be now, right? Like, who are you trying to be going forward in life? Who are you being in certain moments, in certain in immediate moments, in immediate situations, right? Meaning, right, the person who you are is the person that when you wake up in the morning, you be like, this is how I feel today, right? That's the person I am, right? That's the I am life part of it, right? We all feel stressed, we all feel tired, we all feel exhausted. That's life, right? That's I am life. But who's the person you're going to be? So when I say who is the person you're going to be, is the person that is, who's the person that's going to step out of this house? Yes, you woke up exhausted and tired and cranky because, you know, your neighbors upstairs were making too much noise, or your little sibling was, you know, wowing out in their room playing the game to 2 or 3 in the morning, or your parents are arguing and you were just hearing that all night long, right? Like, yes, that's the person, that's life, that's I am life. But who's the person that's walking out that door? Who's the person that's going to work that day? Who's the person that's going to school that day? Who is the person that is going to meet up with his friends or meet up with his girlfriend, right? That's the things that you can change. That's the thing that you can improve on. Those are the things where it's like, yes, I had a rough start to my day, but I can now make that rough start into a better one, right? I can now come outside with the energy of like, hey, I am a better person than I was 5 minutes ago. I was a better person than I was when I first woke up this morning, right? And I think if we have that mindset, not only can we be better, but we can also be honest, right? Like if you do, right, have that really tough morning with your mom or your parents or your girlfriend or your little sibling or whatever the situation may be, right? If you let that affect you, then honestly, that's a human experience, right? So if you had a rough start with your mom or with your girlfriend or whatever it is, right? If you come out the house and you're like, you know, today's just gonna be a bad day. Hey, you're just choosing it that day. That's who I'm being, right? That's who you're becoming, right? Right. That's the person that you're gonna be throughout the day. It's not me. It's not it. But that next day, can you change who you are? Can you change that motive, right? Can you change your just change that perception of yourself, right? Like, yes, you had a rough day yesterday, but do you have to have that? Do you have to have a rough week? No, like that's something you can change, right? Day one may be bad, but day two, day three, day four, day five, day six, day seven could be better, right? And I think that's again like super, super important. That's honestly the truth, right? My next question is quite literally like, when did I make that decision to change, right? Like for myself, when did I decide, yo, I'm gonna be the better version of Daquan, right? I'm gonna be a person that embraces all the good and bad about myself. When did I decide that? And literally, it's every single day. Every day, I'm deciding to be that person. Every moment, if I'm being truthfully honest, right? Like I said, like earlier today, I recorded a whole video yesterday and I was like, oh, it's good, it's perfect. Like, I don't have to do nothing. I don't have to come back. I can just edit for the next 2 days. Cool, perfect. And then I didn't even fully watch it. I just saw one frame and I was like, I need to go back. So what did I do? Did I wake up at the same time that I did yesterday? No. I woke up earlier, right? Did I leave my house not knowing what I was going to talk about? No. I reread what I wrote down yesterday. I added some new stuff. I thought of my ideas. I literally like talked to myself in my room pre-planning this episode. Like I literally have a script on my phone, and I was literally sitting in my room looking at I was just looking into my room, like just into the abyss in my room, but like talking it out and being like, okay, this is my thought. Okay, this is what I'm going to say. Okay, this is how I'm going to plan it out. Blah 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 blah. This is the structure. Okay, cool. Then even before turning on these cameras, I watched a TED Talk video. I listened to what she was saying. I interpreted it differently this time, and I was like, okay, like this is how I can tie in what I want to talk about. This is how I can tie in what she was talking about. Okay, I can do this, I can do that, I can dress this, I can dress that, and I'm like, yo, all of these things are just part of the process, right? And then now I feel way more confident about what I'm talking about. Now, are the highways going to affect me? Probably. I have no idea what this is going to sound like. There was birds earlier here chirping. Don't know how that's going to affect the video. But it's cool because I know I got what I want to say out, right? Now I truly feel confident in this video. Now I truly feel better. And I made the decision every step of the way to like, yo, I'm going to be better. So how am I going to be better? Get here earlier. Right? There's no one in the park yet. It's really hot outside, but it's not as hot as it's going to be in a couple hours. I can probably get home earlier. I'll have more time to edit the rest of the day. It's like I'm literally ahead, right? And I probably mentioned on one of the other videos, but I recorded so many of the videos ahead of time. I'll put the date right here just so you guys can see it. But this is the date that I decided to record this video, and now I'm releasing it in July. And or maybe this video might even come out in August for what I know. And well, I do know. Maybe last week of July, I think. We're gonna see. But regardless, I recorded all of this ahead of time, and I'm still making corrections. I'm still trying to make improvements on these videos just so I can be better. And it's like I'm literally like when it comes to content creation, when it comes to life stuff, right? Like even interactions with my friends and my family. It's like Josh the other day called me, didn't want to talk on the phone with him, but I know he wanted to talk to me. So it was like, hey, this moment's not about you, Daquan. It's about him. Your friend wants to talk to you today. Okay, cool. Let's get on the phone. Let's talk to him. It's an hour-long conversation, quite literally about nothing. Like I think he told me about it. He updated me of what's going on at work. But once we got over that, like the next 45 minutes was just us cracking jokes and like coming up with crazy, stupid scenarios and laughing about them. But I felt better after, right? I didn't feel fulfilled, but I definitely felt a little bit of growth where I was like, oh, wow. Like, not only was it a bad phone call with my friend, but like, hey, I just had a joyful conversation with my homie. I was like, perfect. That's great. And I'm sure Josh felt fulfilled, right? Like, he wanted to talk to his friend. He got the opportunity to talk to his friend. And it was like, yo, like, this is perfect. And I'm like, oh, okay. Like, not only can I make macro changes in my life, I can make micro changes in my life. And those micro changes I make in my life is so much better for not only me, but for the people around me, right? Like the situations at home, my family that I'm trying to be better at as a adult, right? Like I've been a kid for, I'll be honest, I'm 25 currently, like as of today. It's literally the last 24 years of my life, I've literally just been a child in my home, right? Like, my brother moved out maybe 2 years ago, and, like, that was the first moment when I was like, oh, shit, like, I'm no longer like the baby in the house. Like, it's just me in the house. And now I'm trying to, take that transition into like being a real adult, right? Like, I'm trying to take care of my own bills, trying to take care of my parents, trying to just literally like become an adult in real time. And it's like, whoa, like, there's micro changes, there's macro changes I have to do, and there's micro changes I have to do. And it's like, it's all a part of life, but it's like, this is the challenge, right? This is the things that I'm doing, right? This is what I decided to change. And I was like, it's not like, hey, I decided 4 months ago, 1 year ago, 8 years ago, however long ago I decided to change. It's like, no, like, change is every day, like, change is every moment, change is every second. It's like constantly changing, right? Like the world changes every day, and it's literally every second of the day, right? Like, no matter if me moving this table on this grass right now has or created some level of change to this environment, right? The birds flying around, sitting on these trees can cause some type of environment change, right? These birds, I was gonna say having sex, but I mean, it's possible, can create environment change, right? The burn marks from these grills can create environment change. Them not changing the garbage at these parts can create change, right? The highway is creating change, right? Like, the water is creating change, right? The air, the oxygen is creating change. Like, change is happening constantly. And if I want to change myself, if I want to improve myself, I have to make that change just as consistently, just as often as the world is changing. And it's literally every second, it's literally every decision, it's literally everything. Now, for some of you guys, that might be a lot of pressure. And like, obviously you don't have to put that level of pressure on yourself, right? Like, I started off with making macro changes by myself, right? Like, every year I took one thing that wanted to be better, right? Like, consistency this year was my big thing. And like, I think I'm starting to get in rhythm of it, right? Like, my New Year's resolution was to be consistent, and now we're in June, we're 6 months in, and now I'm starting to feel like, oh, okay, I think now I'm starting to catch. Now I'm starting to really understand consistency. Right now, I'm starting to understand how to really be better, and how do I really be consistent. I think last year my thing was just do it, right? It was just like fully going on with the things that I wanted to do, right? Or the came with podcasting, whatever. And like, the first half of the year, I was like still scared to do it. Second half of the year, I gained confidence. And now this year, I'm starting my own podcast, and I feel completely comfortable with it, right? So it's like, not only is there like, in that moment I have to change, and every day I got to change, every moment I got to change, but also it's like keeping up that change, right? It's believing in that change, right? It's like realizing that, oh shit, I really did change. And now it's like actualizing that change, right? So it's like, so you're like, yeah, like, again, like today's topic was self-realization, self-actualization. Like, yes, you can realize the things that you want to change about yourself. You can realize that you did change actually, but then it's like, you have to keep it going too, right? Like, you can't, like, let's say like with my ego, right? I can't in high school realize, oh, I have an ego, let me stop having ego, and then completely suppress it and then never bring my ego back. It's like, no, that's not realistic. Like, the ego is part of me, right? If I'm hiding that side of myself, I'm not getting better at it. I'm just suppressing it. So if I want to be better with it, I have to acknowledge it. I have to let it be out there, and then kind of rein it in, and, put a structure around it in a way. And I think that's so, so important. So it's like, yes, you got to realize stuff for ourselves. Yes, we have to actualize themselves, but you have to continue doing it. We have to stay consistent with it. And as long as you can stay consistent and keep building on those things over time, it'll come to you like human nature, right? Like, some of the stuff is coming to me easy. Like, even the stuff that I'm talking about, I don't have every word that I'm saying to you guys written down in my notes. Like, I have certain points. I might even, maybe I'll even like record my screen recorder, like what my notes look like before recording these videos. But once I get over my certain, talking points, that's it. It's like, I'm just going, right? But I've done 5 episodes at this point. This will be the 5th episode. And now I feel confident. Now it feels easy. Now it feels like, okay, yeah, I got this, right? Episode 1, I was terrified, and I mean terrified to record outside in the park. Now I'm talking my shit, and I don't give a fuck about anybody. Now, I'm sure you guys probably see it in the video, me like doing a little looking around, like the bird just flew behind this camera, and I was like a little bit like, hey man, what you doing over there? I might see or hear people like getting like kind of close to me, so I might look over just to make sure they're not like gonna cut in front of the cameras. But it's like, outside of that, like, I'm good and I feel confident. I can literally, before even releasing this video, I see myself getting better. And I think if I can see myself getting better and improving, I think you guys are going to see it. And I think that's going to give you guys relief, not only in my podcast and me, but in yourselves. Like, again, like, the point of me doing this is just for myself, but it's also like to show you guys like, hey, like, someone like you, someone like me can do these things, right? And it doesn't have to necessarily do with podcasting or content creation. It can literally just be with whatever you want to do in life, right? Like I think going back to self-actualization, it's about, it's about you striving for your own personal growth and fulfillment, right? And reaching those aspirations, right? And my aspirations have to do with content creation. My aspirations have to do with filmmaking. My aspirations have to do with being a talk show host, right? Like this is the things I have to learn and get better at. But it's also like I have to be better as a person, right? Like for me to get into these rooms, for me to meet and network with these people, for me to get to places that I want to get to, I have to be a good person too, right? I just can't have all talent and be a shitty person. No, I have to have great talent and be a great person. And that's the things that I'm striving for. That's the things that I'm trying to get better at. That's the things I'm trying to improve at. And I think for you guys, like, again, you don't have to accomplish the goals I want to accomplish, but you can accomplish whatever goals, set whatever goals that you want to accomplish, and then just do the things and do the work to help you get there. So if it's just to get a new job or to, get a promotion at your job, is like, okay, like, yeah, like improve what you're doing at work, but also improve your behavior at work, right? Like you might be the best worker at your job, but you might not be friendly with everybody at work. So they're like, yeah, like, yo, Daquan or whoever the person may be, right? Let's just say Josh. I've been naming Josh. A second. I've been naming Josh all podcasts. All right, so let's use Josh for example, right? Let's say Josh wants to get promotion in his job. He might be the hardest working motherfucker at his job, but if his personality, if his attitude when he comes to work every day doesn't show he wants to be there, will his boss give him a promotion? Probably not, right? If you're coming in every day and you're like, hey, yeah, like I'll do whatever I need to do, and you're in and out, it's like, okay, yeah, like you're a great worker, we always can rely on you, but like we don't think you want to be here long term, so like we're just not going to offer you a promotion. But if you show that, you enjoy the job, you're super friendly, you're communicating with all your other coworkers, you're growing a relationship with the people at your building or at your workspace, and then you're also working really, really hard, and you're like, you're separating yourself from everybody else, then they're gonna be like, oh yeah, like, obviously we have to give this guy a promotion. Like he loves being here. He's always happy. He's always around. He's always helping, and he's always excelling at his job. So I was like, yeah, let's just give this guy a promotion. And that's literally how I started to view life since I've turned 21. Is just like, oh, okay, like this is how you succeed in life, right? Like, and this is just for me watching TED Talks, listening to podcasts, reading books, and all these things have literally helped me make these own realizations about myself, about the world, about other people, about success. And I think, and that's a big part of why I'm doing this podcast, to share this information with you guys, share these realizations with you guys, just so we can all improve, so we can all be better. So again, yes, it's a self podcast, but it's about all of us. How has self-realization and self-actualization have impacted your life? But for me, it has impacted my life by me improving as a person, me maturing, me having a better understanding of myself and the world that I live in, right? Has helped me understand the places I want to go in life, right? It's helped me kind of just like literally, I feel like I truly am starting to understand life, right? And not to a, deeper, super, philosophical level, right? I don't know if I said that right, but it's not even no super crazy, spiritual thing, right? But it's literally just understanding, like, yo, like, the only way you're gonna get better, oh my god, these bugs are killing me. The only way you're gonna get better in life, the only way you're gonna improve, the only way you're gonna, excel in life is just by growing and getting better. As long as you're trying to grow, as long as you're trying to improve and get better, it's like things are gonna get easier for you, right? And I think the only way to learn and get better by yourself is making realizations about yourself. It's about actualizing the things that you realize about yourself, right? It's putting action to the words or to the motives or to the aspirations you want to do in life, right? It's really trying your hardest and your best to be a better person. And for me, it's doing this podcast, man. Like, this podcast has helped me. Content creation has helped me. It's just, I just feel like it's impacting my life for the positive. It's impacting my life for the better. And like, again, like it's hard for me to put in words like how much it has impacted my life, because like it's only truly been the beginning of it. Like I'm just kind of getting started in all of these things, but I'm telling you guys, like, every day I feel better. Every day I feel like I'm going to grow. Every day I feel like I'm reaching a new and better version of myself, right? And it's not even like a day-to-day just effect, right? Like, after 1 month, like a month, I'll look back to last month and be like, damn, like literally the first episode I recorded for this podcast was like a month ago. And now I'm like, oh my God, I'm so much better, right? Like, and and then I make the realization, or I start to think about the future, and I'm like, okay, if in 1 month I feel like I've seen myself get better, imagine 2 months from now, imagine 3 months from now, imagine 6 months from now, imagine a year from now. Like a year ago, I was recording my Lunch Straight Boy podcast, and I think I had just made my first really good thumbnail for that podcast. Now I'm super confident about making thumbnails in my podcast, right? I think 2 years ago, I was just starting to do podcasts around this time, and I was nervous. And there was no cameras, there was no extra setups, there's no 2 camera setups. It was just me, Danny, in his bedroom on our laptops with 2 microphones and just recording videos and content like that, right? Like that itself has like shown me that I could be better. So it's just like, it's impacted my life so much, even in basketball now, right? Like, I lost so much confidence in myself when it came to basketball as I got into adult, mostly because I stopped caring, but also it was like, I didn't feel fulfilled in like trying to get better at basketball. But now I'm starting to get better at basketball, and I'm like, oh, like not only my love for basketball has came back, but also I feel more fulfilled every time. And now I've realized like my skill set and how to get better and how to improve, not even like week to week, but like game to game. Like I can play 3 games, and like game 1 I can play bad, game 2 I can play great, and game 3 will be my best one. And it's like, oh, okay, like, and then even if game 1 is my best one, game 2 is it was terrible, and game 3 was okay, it's like, okay, now I know next week game 4 I'm gonna be better. And if not, there's game 5, there's game 6. And even when it comes shot to shot too, it's like, oh, I missed this shot, okay, the next shot I can make it. Okay, I made that shot, okay, but how can I make that shot better? Okay, it's like, it's just always building, I'm always growing, I'm always thinking, and it's like self-realization, self-actualization has completely changed my life. Right? It's like every day I have an understanding of like who I am, what I want to be, who I'm being. It's like, it just, I don't know, man. It's like, it's so hard to put into words, but yes, it has impacted my life for the better. And I don't think I'm ever going to change, or at least I don't think I'm ever going to look down on all of these thoughts that I have on this thing, right? I think like these philosophies, these words have gave me so much encouragement and so much fulfillment that I'm like, okay, no, now I feel motivated enough to do all the things I want to accomplish in life. Now I understand, and now I have the confidence to keep striving at the things I want to aspire to be. So yes, it has impacted my life, and it's been like the greatest impact in my life. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I hope you guys leave a like down below. Please comment to all these questions. Either if you want to comment your self-realizations, if you want to comment some of the things that you want to actualize over the next 6 months or the rest of your life, right? If you want to DM me and tell me about your process and the way you want to develop in life, right? Go ahead, like, do that as well. Like, I want to hear from you guys. I want to, keep this conversation fluid. I just, like, again, you guys motivate me just as much as I motivate you guys, right? Like, and I think the only way we're gonna grow as a group, the only way this podcast is gonna grow as a group, is if we like work together and really communicate and really learn about each other and learn to be better together. So yeah, leave a like, comment down below, subscribe to the channel if you want to see more. And I'm your host, Discovery Day. This is the Self Podcast, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Deuces.
I got a red room, it'll sit right out when the sun sets in my bedroom. I got a red room, it'll sit right out when the sun sets in my bedroom. It feels like I'm inside a flower. I got a red room, it'll sit right out when the sun sets in my bedroom. It feels like I'm inside a flower.